In the 3rd year of marriage, I kept a young boy outside. I no longer made a fuss over my husband's infidelity. Just like now, I found a pair of torn stockings in the passenger seat. My husband glanced casually, his tone laced with amusement. The little girl likes to play some tricks, don't mind. This time, I didn't make a big scene. I just nodded in understanding. Yet, his face darkened, and he slammed on the brakes. No need to come over tonight, Julian is back. The other side instantly replied with a crying emoji. I couldn't help but chuckle, and when I looked up, I met Julian's gloomy face, finally noticing the excessive silence in the car. Putting away my phone, I said in a somewhat cold tone, "What's wrong? You seem different somehow." I was stunned. This wasn't the first time that little girl provoked me. Last time, it was underwear stuffed in Julian's suit pocket. At that time, I smashed the room to pieces, crying and yelling at Julian like a madwoman. What I got in return was Julian's indifferent remark, "Can you be normal?" Now, I can finally do what Julian said, calmly facing my husband's infidelity. I smiled, "Isn't this what you wanted?" Julian inexplicably turned cold, his tone laced with sarcasm. "Although Mia is young, she has many tricks in bed, quite interesting. Wife, you should really learn from her, don't always be so boring." He raised an eyebrow and smiled at me. "Maybe, I can stay home with you for a few more days." "No need." I leaned against the car window and closed my eyes. Julian hadn't come home for a whole month. He accompanied Mia to the Maldives for a honeymoon. He made a big show of it, posting one after another on social media, making me the biggest joke in our circle. Now, he stood at the door, looking at the completely changed room, frowning tightly. The original bedding sets were all replaced, the wedding photo on the bedside was taken down by me, and there was no trace of his life in the house. "Where are my things?" "Thrown away." Julian turned sharply. "What do you mean?" He stared at me, then suddenly smiled, his tone softening. "Wife, I know I went too far this time, are you angry?" "All right, aren't I back to accompany you? I even bought you a gift." He placed the gift bag on the coffee table. He turned and went into the bathroom. Coming out while drying his hair, his tone ambiguous, "Why did you change my usual shower gel too?" I was a bit puzzled, and after a while, I remembered it was Lucas who changed it. The kid said he didn't like that scent and switched it to orange blossom. The familiar orange blossom scent approached. Julian hugged me from behind, deliberately rubbing against my neck. "Wife, I miss you." My heart skipped a beat in panic. The hickey Lucas left on my chest hadn't faded yet. A little lower, and Julian would see it. I turned and pushed him away forcefully. "I'm not Mia. If you want, go find her." Julian staggered back a few steps before steadying himself, his face ashen, his voice squeezed through gritted teeth. "Are you done? It's just accompanying her on a honeymoon, haven't I accompanied you before? Is it necessary?" I looked at him, my voice very calm. "It is necessary." "Julian, I find you dirty." The veins on Julian's hands hanging by his sides bulged. He forcefully picked up the jacket still on the sofa. "Ungrateful. Don't beg me to come back later." The door was slammed shut with a bang. I walked to the coffee table and saw the gift bag on it. I suddenly remembered that today should have been our 5th wedding anniversary. Opening the box, it was a bag I posted on social media a few days ago. Only 5 pieces worldwide. I tugged at the corner of my mouth. It was hard for him, honeymooning with his lover and still remembering to appease me. A message came on my phone. It was a picture from Mia. She was disheveled, Julian leaning on her chest. "Auntie, why don't you make use of the opportunity given to you? I specially advised Julian to go home and see you." In the middle of the night, the phone rang abruptly. I picked up, and Julian's drunken voice came from the other side. Wife, come pick me up." I was about to hang up when a stranger's voice came. "Hello, the guest is drunk here, is it convenient for you to pick him up?" "We're closing." I fluently reported Mia's phone number. "Let her pick him up, I don't have time." Such things had happened before. Once, I had a high fever, drove for an hour in the middle of the night to pick up Julian, but he pushed me away forcefully, still insisting drunkenly on Mia. He said, "I don't want you, I want Mia." He said, "Don't bother me." I staggered back a few steps to steady myself, my hand hitting the metal corner of the table, blood dripping down, but it was far less than half the pain in my heart at that time. Pulling back my thoughts, I looked at the scar on the back of my hand. Fortunately, wounds can heal, and the heart won't hurt anymore. After a long time, in a half-asleep state, the familiar ringtone sounded again. The voice was from a strange woman. "Are you this drunkard's wife? He came knocking on my door in the middle of the night. Can you take him away, or I'll call the police?" What? The other side reported an address. I put down the phone, stunned for a while. Julian had actually drunkenly run to our original rental apartment. I couldn't help apologizing to the woman, and took Julian away from the door. He reeked of alcohol, his mind unclear. Evelyn, was the internship tiring today? The long-forgotten address made me daze for a moment, and I realized Julian was so drunk he thought it was when we just graduated. At that time, we were poor, the two of us nestled in this small rental, dreaming of the future. I trained until late every day, and he would pick me up from the orchestra no matter how late he was busy. At that time, he always hugged me with red eyes, saying he would definitely let me live a good life in the future. My nose felt sour, tears rolled down. I hurriedly lowered my head to wipe them, but someone was faster than me. Julian raised his hand, gently wiping them for me, and then spoke with some grievance. "Wife, why aren't you angry anymore? Why did you change the shower gel? How can you not be angry at Mia? You've changed." I looked down at him, rarely communicating calmly, "Because I'm tired." Julian muttered to himself, suddenly broke free from my hand, took something out from his bosom, and by the moonlight, I saw it was a strawberry cake. The strawberry cake I once loved the most. I thought he had forgotten long ago. Speaking of which, I first discovered his infidelity because of a cake. Mia wasn't his first affair partner. The first time I discovered his infidelity was on my birthday. I prepared a candlelight dinner at home, even changed into newly bought clothes, waiting for him to come back. But I waited on the sofa from afternoon until late night. When he pushed the door open, he was startled by the room's setup, only then realizing it was my birthday. He awkwardly tried to cover up forgetting my birthday. So he casually handed me the mango cake in his hand. He even forgot that I'm allergic to mango. At that moment, a woman's intuition was incredibly sharp. I suddenly stood up, pulled open his collar, and a fresh hickey on his collarbone was glaring. In an instant, the world collapsed. I smashed everything in the room, crying and questioning why he cheated. I slapped him again and again. What was Julian's reaction? He knelt down begging for forgiveness. After that, I became paranoid. He grew increasingly impatient, and came home less and less. Later, Mia appeared. It was still chaotic arguments, but differently. This time Julian didn't compromise. He irritably pinched his brow. "Evelyn, I tell you, I can't break up with Mia, I like her. You obediently be your wife, I guarantee she won't affect your status." At that time, my heart felt like it was torn in half alive, hurting so much I wanted to cry to death. So I said hoarsely, "Julian, let's divorce." Julian abruptly extinguished the cigarette in his hand, his voice cold. "Impossible. Between you and me, only widowhood, no divorce option, don't even think about it. If you still want your mother's life, endure it." At that time, my mother was seriously ill. I was just the most inconspicuous pianist in the orchestra, couldn't afford my mother's medical expenses at all. The ICU money was all from Julian. Unexpectedly, that became his leverage over me. Every day after that, I felt like I was dying. I watched him attend various banquets with Mia, watching them like a divine couple, as if I was the shameful mistress. Taking handfuls of antidepressants, sleepless night after night. After another wrist cutting, being slapped by Julian, I seemed to suddenly wake up. I thought, why? The wrong one isn't me, why should I suffer like this? If Julian can't give me happiness, I'll find someone else myself. It was also at this time that I met Lucas. The kid was gentler than Julian, more interesting than him, and importantly, he listened to everything I said. Like Julian, I also had a lover. I left Julian sleeping on the floor all night. In the morning, Julian blocked me at the door, his face gloomy. Why didn't you come pick me up? Why make Mia pick me up? Nothing, don't you like her? This sentence seemed to completely ignite Julian's anger. He pinched my chin, kissing angrily and urgently. It shouldn't be like this, Evelyn, you shouldn't react this way. Why aren't you angry at me anymore? I bit down hard, the bloody taste spreading in my mouth. Julian, you're really despicable. He looked at me sinisterly, saying before leaving, Evelyn, don't regret it. Julian's appearance made me a bit uneasy inside. But I didn't expect his revenge to come so fast. Mia suddenly sent me a message. Try it on the chief's piano today. With a buzz, the world spun, I barely held on without falling. The fire in my heart almost completely burned away my reason. That piano was a relic from my mother. How could Julian? How could he bring Mia back and on the piano? I hurriedly rushed home, forcefully pushed the door. The scene before me almost made my whole body tremble. I bit through the flesh in my mouth. On the distinct black and white keys, Mia lay naked on top, Julian behind her. The piano made chaotic sounds. Seeing me enter, Julian casually pushed Mia away, the corner of his mouth hooked up, looking at me with a cold smile. What? Can't hold on so soon? Nails digging into flesh, the sharp pain in my hand kept me calm. I spoke hoarsely, get out. Mia got down from the piano, casually tinkled a few keys. Suddenly, she forcefully picked up the nearby vase and smashed it on the piano. In my glaring eyes, she smiled provocatively. Oh no, what to do? It seems broken? You're courting death. Reason was instantly burned away by rage. I stepped forward, grabbed her hair, and in her screams, slapped her several times in a row. Evelyn, you're crazy. Sharp pain came from my waist. I was kicked hard to the ground by Julian. My lower back hit the table corner. I tried several times but couldn't stand up. Julian anxiously ran to Mia, helped her up with a face full of heartache. Glaring at me with full anger, he roared, You've gone too far. It's just a broken piano. Is it necessary? I've been too lenient with you usually. My eyes were sour, I bit my teeth hard, not letting tears fall, my whole body trembling. Julian pulled me up, forcibly dragged me to the walk-in closet behind the room. What are you doing? Let me go. The unease in my heart kept amplifying. When Julian turned off the light, fear reached its peak. Reflect properly here. Come out when you figured it out. Screams and struggles were extinguished in the darkness. My face pale, I started trembling. I'm afraid of the dark. As a child, I was molested on a night road, and since then, I have this fear of the dark. At that time, he hugged me heartbrokenly. No matter how late he was busy, he would personally pick me up and send me home. Now, he uses this to threaten me. Tears smashed on the ground one by one. I clung to the door, pounding it hard, my voice hoarse. Julian. Let me out. Let me out. I was wrong. My head banged against the door repeatedly, blood rolling from my forehead. Outside, Julian and Mia's flirtatious laughter was extremely piercing. Brother, you won't feel heartache, right? Julian's voice was extremely cold. No. I've been too good to her during this time, making her fearless. She needs to learn a lesson. 10 fingers clutching the door, nails almost cracking, in sharp pain, blood seeping from the seams. I wiped away tears forcefully, took out my phone, and sent Lucas a WeChat. Come over now. I don't know how long passed, the door was finally opened. Julian looked down at me condescendingly. Evelyn, do you know your mistake? The strong light stung my eyes, tears rolling down. Opening my mouth, I found my voice deadly hoarse. Julian, let's divorce. Julian frowned. I said, Imposs. I cheated. Julian's words stopped at his mouth. His Adam's apple rolled violently a few times, veins on his forehead jumping. It was a sign of rage. Say it again. The door was pushed open forcefully. Lucas strode in. Seeing my disheveled hair and bloodied hands, his face changed. It was the first time I saw him like this, surprisingly more intimidating than Julian. He spoke, his tone like quenched ice. She said divorce, are you deaf? Before I could react, Julian threw a punch at Lucas. The two instantly wrestled, punches landing solidly. Julian's face was bruised, Lucas's fingers were also full of blood. In the chaos, I took out the divorce agreement from the room and threw it in front of Julian. Sign it. Julian gritted his teeth, eyes red. Impossible, Evelyn, I can't divorce you. I held Lucas's hand, tone calm, up to you. Amid Julian's furious roars, I left holding Lucas's hand. I bought a new house, Lucas helped me move. After packing, he suddenly sat beside me, expression serious. Lucas put away his usual playful smile. Sister, since you've decided to divorce, won't you consider me? He extended his hand. Let's get to know each other again. Schön's Pharmaceutical, Lucas. I was stunned for a moment. Schön's Pharmaceutical, the famous Schön family in the capital? Speaking of which, I have some connection with the Schön family. At the old mansion's birthday banquet, the orchestra performed. In the back garden I saved a little girl who accidentally fell into the water. It was the Schön family's little granddaughter. Seeing my expression, Lucas was somewhat helpless. Finally remembered? The one you saved is my sister. I've been following you for a long time, only later found out you were married. He raised an eyebrow. But, I don't mind being the third party. Anyway, your husband isn't a good person, he cheated first. I took a long time to recover, pushed Lucas away. Sorry, I'm not considering entering another relationship now. I already have a failed marriage, no expectations for love. Moreover, with the Schön family's background, they may not allow Lucas to be with a divorced woman. My feelings for Lucas are far from marriage level. His smile froze, he lowered his eyes, but then smiled indifferently. No problem, but since you're divorcing, I can pursue you openly in the future, right? Julian seemed crazy. For 4 consecutive days, he waited downstairs at my house every night. But I never went out to see him. Today after work, the gate security saw me and asked about Julian. His expression was somewhat worried. Miss Evelyn, have you been quarreling with your boyfriend recently? Seeing my puzzled expression, he frowned and explained, for 4 days, every night there's a man standing downstairs at your house, leaning against the car, standing all night, smoking one cigarette after another. I saw his car and clothes don't look cheap, so I didn't drive him away. Is he your partner, coming to apologize? I smiled faintly at the security. I don't know him. Next time you see him, just drive him away. The security nodded. As a result, tonight just after work, I ran into Julian downstairs. It was pouring rain at night. He waited by the car, but without an umbrella, completely soaked. Rainwater flowed down his hair, he was very disheveled. Seeing me, he instantly straightened up, walked quickly towards me. Evelyn. Don't call me that. His face was pale, with an abnormal flush. I guessed he had a high fever. Evelyn, I've thought for a long time, I know I was wrong. He cautiously tugged at my close corner, tone somewhat pleading. I've broken up with Mia, let's be good, okay? I don't care about you and that pretty boy, we won't divorce, there won't be anyone else between us in the future, forgive me once, okay? I looked up at him for a while. Turns out, separation wasn't as hard as I thought. Now I can face him calmly, my heart no longer hurts. So I spoke, voice very calm, no. In the rain, Julian shuddered violently. Julian, whether you believe it or not, I really don't love you anymore. Saying divorce isn't angry words or a joke. I really don't want to be with you anymore. His eyes reddened instantly, voice suddenly raised, tone choked. I don't believe it. Evelyn. How could you not love me, how? If you don't love me, why endure so long, why not divorce me earlier? I looked at him calmly, thinking, so when I went crazy in front of him back then, this was how he felt. Annoyed, boring. I pushed him away, stepped back. Julian, I gave you chances, you didn't want them yourself. And thank you for letting me see clearly, you're just SOSO. Back then when I proposed divorce, Julian disagreed. Later when I calmed down, I found I didn't have that much courage. Later Mia stimulated me again and again. She came to the house, in front of me, showed me their bed photos. I hysterically called Julian home, crazily slapped him. When I tried to hit again, he grabbed my hand, expression annoyed, threw me on the sofa. Enough. Have you made enough fuss? Can't you stop acting like a madwoman? Look at you now, how are you more sensible than Mia? What was the feeling then? I can't remember clearly, probably difficulty breathing, whole body trembling, heart aching. I really couldn't understand why he treated me like that. He and I grew up in an orphanage. When he first came, traumatized and couldn't speak. All kids bullied him, only I blocked for him time and again. Later, he grew up a bit, it became him protecting me. He blocked the dean's whips for me time and again, finally took me to escape that hell. At that time, he hugged me and said, "Evelyn, in the future I'll definitely let you live a good life. We'll never separate." Junior high, high school, university. We really never separated. Marriage was the most natural thing. Everyone said we were a divine couple. So when I learned he cheated, and the girl even came to me, I was so collapsed. We argued, started living separately. Not divorce, but not much difference. I knew Julian was using this method to teach me a lesson. But I'm not the strong female lead in novels, I couldn't let go so easily. Suddenly cutting out a person loved for over 10 years from the heart is like cutting out a piece of flesh alive. In the first few days, I hated Julian, thinking of his cheating, sorry appearance. After that, I started repeatedly recalling how he loved me. Warm milk every night, countless handwritten letters, chocolate always prepared in the bag for my hypoglycemia. I've witnessed how he loved me, how could I let go easily? So, I started sleepless nights, past 20 years scenes repeatedly appearing before me, I crazily bit my nails, desperately recalling when he changed, if I did something wrong. Irregular nausea, dizziness, hand tremors made me unable to work. Sleeping pills from 1 to 3, yet I still sat on the ground, crying until dawn. Until one day, inexplicably, I swallowed a handful of sleeping pills. I really didn't think of dying, I don't know what happened to me, perhaps I just wanted a good sleep. But when I opened my eyes again, it was a glaring white. The doctor frowned at me, "Young lady, whatever you can't figure out, don't give up on yourself." In an instant, tears burst out. I curled up on the hospital bed, saying sorry over and over. I'm sorry to myself. The one who did wrong isn't me, why torture myself like this? It was that day, I figured it out. If I can't cut Julian out of my heart at once, then bit by bit. So, I went to find Julian. I bowed my head admitting wrong, he smiled and came home. I knew my method was gradually working. My reconciliation made him more unscrupulous. He no longer hid Mia's existence from me, even sometimes deliberately used her to stimulate me. Gradually, the heartache reached a certain level and became numb. I started not to care. Meeting Lucas was an accident. That day I went to the bar to drink, spotted him in the crowd at a glance. The young boy was too dazzling. I was also curious if cheating was really stimulating. So I walked up, looked at Lucas, "Want to go with me?" He raised an eyebrow, looked down at me, showing one canine, "Sure." Everything was so natural. When Lucas came to pick me up after work, he ran into Julian waiting for me. The instant he saw Lucas, Julian's face became ugly, but in the end, he didn't say anything. "Evelyn, can we talk?" Since that separation a week had passed, Julian had lost a lot of weight. Eyes red, full of bloodshot. I was too familiar with this state, same as me before. I patted Lucas, signaling him to wait in the car. Julian's voice was hoarse, like rolled over gravel. "Evelyn, your piano, I fixed it." His voice had some expectation. "Do you want to go home and see?" I pursed my lips. "No matter what, that piano is a relic from my mother, I must get it back." I spoke. "No need to see, when you have time, I'll have someone move it back. His face showed some disappointment, then hesitantly asked, you and him, are together? I paused. If this can make him give up and divorce, lying is nothing. So I answered, yes, we're together. So when will you go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me? His whole body stiffened, veins bulging on hands by his sides. No reply for a long time. I squinted, spoke maliciously, what? Or do you want to be my lover? Julian has always been proud, I thought he wouldn't accept such humiliation. But his jawline tensed extremely, hoarsely said, if I say yes, will you give me this chance? I was stunned for a while, gritted my teeth and said, sick. Turned to leave, pulled back by him. Evelyn, I won't agree to divorce. You're just dazzled by outsiders now, I don't care. When you've had enough fun, you'll come back. We're family. Julian said with trembling voice. I sneered, Julian, divorce doesn't need your agreement. If you disagree, see you in court. Mia sent me plenty of evidence, I don't mind making you leave with nothing. Behind me came Julian's choked voice, Evelyn, you have such a ruthless heart. I tugged at my mouth, didn't look back. I didn't think of it, I didn't seek Mia, but she shamelessly came to me. The girl's once bright and moving face now sallow and thin, hair disheveled, expression timid, as if afraid of being recognized. She blocked me downstairs at the orchestra. Evelyn. Stop. She stared at me venomously, was it you who forced Julian to break up with me? Was it you who leaked at school? I was somewhat puzzled, didn't understand what she said. Too lazy to entangle with her, but her next sentence made me stop. I'm pregnant with Julian's child. I turned, looked at her coldly, then you should find Julian, not me. She suddenly collapsed, cried loudly, he won't see me. If he did, why would I come to you? Mia suddenly knelt before me, Evelyn. I know I was wrong, let me go. I just want to give birth to this child. Now the school knows I'm a mistress outside, I'm being bullied, I dare not go to school, I beg you to let me go. I suddenly realized. It was Julian who leaked. This was his so-called sincerity to beg me to reconcile. He personally destroyed Mia. I stepped back, nothing to do with me, I said I didn't do it, I won't participate in your and his matters. Mia wanted to say more, but was stopped by Julian who suddenly rushed out. Mia. I said don't disturb Evelyn. Julian pushed her away forcefully. Her eyes red, choked aggrieved, Julian, I'm pregnant with your child, don't break up with me, okay? Julian panicked for a moment, sharply looked at me, I was expressionless. If pregnant, abort. I won't want your child. He gritted his teeth. Mia's face pale, started crying loudly. I watched for a while, felt bored, turned to leave. But I hadn't walked a few steps when I suddenly heard heart-rending roars beside me, shouting my name, Evelyn. In a whirl, I was pressed down by someone, Mia's crazy screams in my ear, Evelyn. Go die. It's all your fault. The tip of my nose full of bloody smell, the sound of a knife piercing flesh came, above my head came Julian's suppressed pain groan. I don't know how long, the bloody smell grew thicker, Julian's groans weaker. Sirens and ambulance sounds came, Julian was hurriedly carried to the ambulance, Mia pressed by police, and I stood stunned. After a long time, with trembling hands, I wiped the blood from my face. The emergency room light kept flashing. Maybe 3 hours, maybe 5, I don't know. The doctor came out, nodded at me. I sat back exhausted. Julian was saved. I didn't go in to see him, left the hospital. Mia and his matter went viral. Both were scolded, company stocks plummeted. With Lucas's help, I took over the company. The hospital suddenly called, saying Julian woke up, but he attempted suicide. When I arrived, Julian was pale, weakly leaning on the bed, seeing me enter, subconsciously hid his bandaged hand behind. In an instant, I was somewhat dazed. Unknowingly, our positions reversed, the calm one became me, the one seeking death as him. He looked at me, disheveledly forced a smile, sorry Evelyn. I didn't think I could wake up. I thought, dying is fine, at least I can die as your husband. I stared at him hard. Julian, you're really a madman. Rage surging in my heart, I stepped forward, stared at him, sneered, you think if you die I'll regret, never forget you, thank you? He was exposed by me, panicked and lowered his eyes. What are you pretending? If you really want to die, why in the hospital? He shuddered violently. I pulled his collar, fingertips white. Julian, I tell you, even if you really died, I wouldn't thank you. If not for you, Mia and I were strangers. This is what you owe me. Julian suddenly shed tears. Sorry. If you really feel sorry, sign the divorce agreement. The room was silent for a long time. After a while, he hoarsely said, okay. Before stepping out the door, Julian suddenly spoke, Evelyn, is it that in this life, you won't forgive me again? Yes. Hearing of Julian again was at the award ceremony. As the orchestra chief, I won a national award. I heard he died in a car accident. Before the car exploded, he had a chance to get out, but he didn't. He quietly waited for the impending death. I was only dazed for a moment. The host called my name. I smiled, went on stage. Offstage, Lucas held a large bouquet waiting for me. I calculated, this was probably his 29th confession. Perhaps, I should embrace a new life too.